pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right.
I like the shoe band. We're here to go over the second round.
Third.
This will be the third. To go over the second round. I think we're down to the papers I gave you guys to look at just prior to the end of our last meeting, and decision on the codes lines on the salary. I'm all ears. Did you get a copy of what we did so far?
No. Is there one in the mailbox? I didn't get a chance to check my mailbox yet.
I'm gonna go get it.
I could have got it.
So what are we talking about first, the capital improvements or the codes?
Either, wherever you guys want to go. From the look on, the only one that probably didn't, unless you grab the stuff out of this box, I'll give you a. Where is that one? No, I still got that one.
Well, the garage floor drains
Nothing.
at 2:30. How would that affect, will we still go forward with that, or are we gonna go ahead now with the 36 that we started with, the quote?
We had decided to rebid that. I spoke with one of the reps from Barton and Judas, and they recommended that sometime after the first of the year, it would be March, February or March, reposting it because we only got the one bid on that. It came in at $203,000, which kind of shocked all of us. Doesn't look like inflation is going down. It looks like it's still creeping up, so that's why I put in for the 230. We will rebid it. And
What was the initial, the first time?
203, I think. It was a 203 or 206, somewhere.
So it went up 30,000.
Well, when we originally looked at it, we were being told it was going to be in the 60-something thousand dollar range, mid to high 60s. And the only bid we received was up around, I think it was 203,000 for something that's sticking in my head.
It's at 230.
I think that's what it was. So, as part of going over to the tax cap, like I said, it was really not salary based or trying to increase the amount of what our budget was down here. It was to allow us to put monies in the lines where we needed them to start using some of the unallocated funds to do some improvements in the town and actually do some stuff. Two of them are up for the highway, which is the floor, and to put about 200,000 into Mike's budget so that he could get some of the equipment he was talking about, like the front end loader with the hydraulics in the front, floor controls for an edging machine, a shoulder machine,
Road widener,
those kind of things.
Now this utility trailer you're looking at, Mike.
Yep.
There's no used utility trailers out there that are in good shape that you could.
I don't know.
I can answer that for you.
No. I mean, I really haven't seen any.
Thank you.
If he uses, the municipal bid or under state contract or those kind of things, he wouldn't need to get the three quotes. He did give each one of us the quote on the front end loader, which was under one of those programs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sourcewell.
Yep, Sourcewell. And we are Sourcewell after we bought New Holland Ford. We did it under Sourcewell. So
getting back to the general appropriation with the town garage. Now, if we end up with 230,000 in that building, plus we're spending 36,000 for that little paving in the
That
front
was my question.
and back, I mean, that's a lot of money for that building based on the age of the building, for one thing. I think, I hate to say it, but I think we should take a look at this. That's a lot of money to be spending on, what year was that building possibly built? Any idea, Mike, at all?
I'm gonna guess in the fifties.
At least the fifties, because it was over, originally the garage was over by, across from Rick's Auto Sales by the.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it
Little
just
swimming hole,
seems,
used to be a
it
swimming
seems
hole.
like a big expenditure on this for you guys to consider.
But do we need to go through, my question is, if we spend the 36, if we can, I don't know how to do that, and get it fixed now, we could subtract that out of that budget. We wouldn't have to,
Yeah, and
at least the
I
36 out of it.
Yeah.
I would say
We
that,
have to get that done this year.
and I put that in there. It's gonna be tough to even do it this year. I put that in the I think I did, yeah, I did. Garage floor drains, outside drainage, because you talked about the outside drainage. So that was about 18,000 too, right, what we got for a cool, rough estimate of what that would cost. That definitely does need to be taken care of too, that outside drainage. As far as spending twice the money, I wouldn't wanna, personally, I wouldn't wanna spend 18,000 on a temporary fix for the front of it. I'd rather take care of the whole thing. I think that we'd be probably throwing good money after bad to do that. If we wanted to scale the project back and he still wants to deal with the water, then, we could move forward with just fixing the aprons on the front to make sure that that's closed off. For the one, other than you sticking a blanket underneath it every night when you close the door.
Well, it's gonna take probably 4 or 5 blankets now, because it's really sank,
Yeah, and the only way to do that is to actually pull that right out, the concrete right out, whatever they got in there for sub base, recompact it. But whatever they were gonna do, item 4, item 3, I don't know what, or maybe just 3s or 2s or 1s, I don't know what they'll do.
But that's where Mr. Carter got that from that other guy for 18. He said he was gonna be pretty much a permanent fix, too, correct?
Yeah.
For 18.
18 front and 18 back, or was it 18 total?
Both, 18 front and 18 in the back.
Yeah, but so it's 36.
So
Yeah.
36, not
But-
18
yeah.
total.
But
Yeah.
the way I understood that was he would be putting aprons on the front and then coming in 2 feet past the front door.
I gave you the estimate, I don't have it in front of me.
I think you had said 4.
Yeah.
I might
4
have
feet.
said 4, but.
Maybe.
Miles ago.
Okay.
I should have said all of it.
So it wouldn't take care of the total crushed floor, no doubt. You know what I mean?
But it would give
If it
your
goes
door
back.
closures working to where,
It would get the door to the winter weather seal to seal against a flat surface. It sure would. Going from that point of work inward, I can check with Barton LaJudas and LaJudas to make sure that whatever they were on for the fall, if we can even get it done that now, is up to the same specs that we got from the engineer, to make sure that we're not duplicating that work, and that's the only thing I wouldn't want to do. I agree with you, Mike. I wouldn't want to duplicate the work.
Kevin, it appears one major issue on this that we're lacking is the oil water separator system.
Yep.
I mean, that is a major, what kind of an upgrade would we be looking at for that? Because that's something
Probably,
he's
you're gonna
mentioned
probably
really needed.
over 100,000. We've discussed it.
Additional.
Well, that was not in
Okay,
the plans of the
okay,
project.
I understand. Okay,
We did discuss that would be the next step, is
Sure.
doing that. It is going to be needed. There is no way around it. Eventually, that's what's gonna be needed.
You
But
know,
going back to Reggie's thing, back in January of 2020, I gave a bunch of quotes on putting it out to bid for either remodeling, tearing it down and restarting, or keeping some, or
I mean, if
keeping-
we're gonna put $350,000-$400,000 in this building, what would it cost us to have another building done and done right? I mean, we keep, it's like pulling off a bad band-aid. I mean,
Right.
you're only gonna fix this and then fix it again and then fix it again and.
Well, the good thing is that that's why we went put it out to bid, and Barton and Juice was the lowest bid on it, so that everybody would be bidding on a engineer, contract that should last for years and years to come. We also had incorporated that the drains would be pitched so that they could go out and hit an oil water separator, which would have been the next step in that. You guys want to look at a new building, you're talking millions of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. We don't have that kind of money. I'll tell you that right now. We don't have enough money to ourselves or the town without either bonding it or looking for grants. And most of the grants that I see right now that are left over are DEC for like salt sheds. And they were $1 million when they first came out. They went down to $750,000 the year that I took over down here, and they're at $500,000 right now, $500,000. So the longer we wait on that,
Yeah, because they're gonna be knocking on our door for them
it
next.
will be.
And when they do, it's gonna be done, because they're not gonna say, well, we'll give you a year to do it.
So I think after much discussion, not quite so much action, that was what we had decided would be physically financial for the town, was to try to keep this building active, fix what needs to be fixed on it, so that we can take care of a salt shed that is going to be probably mandated by DEC and the New York State Health Department within a short amount of time.
now that you've mentioned the salt shed, I was gonna mention it anyway, but in terms of comparing, making this River Street Park building septic system of 100,000, I'd much rather see that 100,000 being spent toward a salt shed. I really would. I think it would make more sense. We can continue on River Street with the accommodations we have, with the monthly, how much is that per month for the septic?
Porta potties.
Porta
Yeah.
potties.
Any idea?
It's not.
Just roughly, it must be 60 a month.
Vern, just to answer your question, the last I had checked, it's been a while. I can't remember his name. He used to be the engineer for the town of Plattsburgh. It's about
I didn't get that
to
bill
upgrade
yet. The one
today.
I got was
It's about $1
Town Hall,
million
Woods
a
Hills,
day.
and River.
a
It's a
bank
contract for the
for
season, not
Janus.
monthly.
Oh, for the season, I see.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just got the other one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
although I agree that we need to work on the salt shed issue, you still want to have something for the community that's a positive for them that they can utilize, and that is relatively a small upgrade.
Well,
To that.
sort of in a way, Kevin, but it also is a wetland down there.
Yep.
And when you go to install a septic system in a wetland, it's a whole different. I have a little experience with this, and believe me, you can laugh if you want to. It's all right.
No, because you
But
you
Kevin,
don't-
the thing
all I'm
is, it
saying
is
Reggie,
expensive.
Listen to what I say when I'm in
I
the
listen
meetings.
to you all the time.
Well,
all
if
the
you'd have
time.
listened, you'd have remembered that I said I've already addressed that, and that there was a bill that was passed, and our legislation that allowed for towns to do just these upgrades that were previously not, a town wasn't able to do. And then I got a hold of Glenn Cutter down at the county's office, who was checking on what we needed to do to even try to put the building in, or a septic. And I also said if we weren't able to do a septic, Glenn had said that a good alternative would be the new style bathrooms with tank underneath them that would be pumped out whenever, But that's the only reason. It's like sometimes I guess I feel like you didn't hear what I said. I know maybe not saying it right, but yeah, I've checked into that, and yeah, I did some building too, Reggie. I'm not stupid with it, and those are all things that I've looked at ahead of time before I would even have proposed it. But anyways,
And then, just going down the list regarding...
can we finish where we're at? Yeah.
Okay, where are we?
Well, I don't know. We're jumping all over the place. So we're trying to answer Mike's question, and I'm not even sure we
I
did
forgot
that
what it
yet.
was.
The garage.
Whether we were doing
Doors.
double dipping there, or whether we were
Okay.
paying
Parking.
twice for the engineering, or excuse me, the work that we had already got engineering for, if we did anything earlier. So, I guess to answer that question, I would have to see whether they were able to do it to the specs that we spent the money on, and get that first section done before winter.
I don't know if the specs would be the same or not. Do they need to be the same? I mean, we're
Otherwise,
just trying to fix this thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So I thought,
Otherwise, we're gonna have to let Barton and Lejudas know that, we're gonna, I guess, put it out to bid again.
Otherwise, I think we should go up and do it ourselves and get it done.
And I agree, and I told Mike that for a Band-Aid, some hydros on that, across the front of that thing, and level it with either a 2x4 or a 2x6 by cutting out that one section and making sure the door closure works good. Maybe a $400, I'm guessing. I haven't went down and looked at hydros on that in a while, but it's not a ton of money. It's a little bit of labor.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do when you drag a plow across it? Where's it gonna go? Out to the ditch?
yeah,
No, you'd have to
they
cut
put
it.
that cement on there before. Of course, it was only thin, but now it's,
But you'd have to
that
cut it.
deep.
That's what I'm saying. You'd have to cut it.
You gotta try something. You can't leave that like it
You
is.
cut it, and if you go down, I'm gonna guess at least 4 inches when you cut that floor, and then re-level it underneath the door, they'd have a hell of a time pulling that out, especially if you screeded it out. It's not a fix. It would be a temporary fix until we decided what the new bids come in
Say
at.
it would be a real goddamn good fix.
No, that would be if we did what he was doing.
I think it's a super deal. You know what he did,
And that could be done this year, Mike?
I'd have to ask him again.
I see.
So we're getting down to another month and that's about it.
Right.
Yeah, because they're gonna shut down the cement plant.
Yeah.
But even then, you're gonna have to get 2 other bids. And
How
he's gonna
long
have a
does that
fit if we pick them, so we need to put it in the paper and advertise it and see who we get,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Pretty late now.
I'm just saying, that's the guidelines we're under. Unless we did it ourselves, then there's no bidding process, there's no worry about anything. And it may fix it for the year.
Is that something the men could help out with, Mike, or per union
Hey,
deal?
I don't,
And they-
I can't really speak for them in
Right.
a way. I mean,
Sure.
for a lot of part I can, but,
Yeah.
you
I'm gonna
know.
say you're the boss.
Yeah.
You can't speak for him.
Oh, yeah, I
It's
mean-
whatever you decide the work is gonna be on that day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really don't see why not, but I mean, what is it? I guess it's 5-gallon pails and you just mix it up and you pour it, right? And you screed it up.
Like
It's only,
what Vern says, if you flat pour it, there's a chance that you'll scrape some of it off as you're going in and out, because you said you usually let the plows
Yeah.
roll out the door to get what's in front of the doors. So I would suggest that it'd be trench cut with a demo saw, you know, and then we pour it. But you don't, you know, maybe 4 inches. It's not gonna rip that out. I guarantee you that. It's gonna stop your plow before you rip that out. But you just have to make sure you screed it flat at the end. I mean, how far up are your? Do you use metal or composite on those?
No, it's all metal. It's all metal and carbide.
And how far up off the feet? Or is it
There's
right on
none.
right on the
It's right
scraper
on the
edge?
floor. Oh, yeah.
So then you just have to make sure you screed it to wherever you cut
The
it.
shoes are what you're talking about. They used to
Mhm.
have plow
Yep.
shoes, but
Yep.
we haven't used them in years.
So there's these things that we're adding in here. Again, if you don't use them, they roll into the budget again. It just goes right back into the unallocated fund reserve.
So we gotta approve each of these before we do them.
Yeah, there will be a whole process to do each one of these. But basically, I've been asking everybody for quite a few months now what they thought they might want to spend the ARPA money on, and we're the point where we need to start utilizing some of the money that's in the unallocated fund reserve, which is already there to help out, to take care of needs that need to be done, plus things like the park to help out the residents that live here and have to deal with a landfill where we get $500,000 a year, put some of it back into the community so that they get something for dealing with the negative stuff that happens. But you know, these are things that I put down and numbers that I put down that I thought were reasonable. We could change these right up until the preliminary budget. So if anybody wants to add something to this or wants to change anything in here, that's what we're doing.
When's the preliminary budget?
Just before we do our next meeting. So this will probably be the last night we get a chance to look at this and work on it before they come out with the preliminary.
But it doesn't really matter because we haven't approved any of this yet anyway.
Right. Even the preliminary won't be voted on until after we have the hearing.
Which is next meeting.
Preliminary will be voted on October 26th.
Yeah.
This basically is your last budget work session before
Right.
she does the preliminary.
Right. I mean, if you think he needs more than 200,000 for large equipment, I give you the numbers. I even told you what he's gonna have left in there by utilizing it. He's still gonna have $617,067.96. So if you wanna change that to 250, you're gonna change the money he's got left in the account to 567,000. You know,
Okay.
it's not like
Nobody's
I'm not
thinking about
looking
that.
at, you know, depleting the bank, but I think that we need to, again, take care of what needs the town has and also give something to the residents to show that, hey, this is what we're doing with that money.
Can I talk about the sign right now?
Yeah, are we, so is there anything that anybody wants to change on the highway? I'm not saying we can't talk about anything right here. I just
No,
like to
okay.
find some order to this so we're not jumping back
Sure.
and forth and we don't miss
Sure.
anything. So the large equipment fund for 200,000, like I said, do you want to less, more? Is it good? What do you guys think?
I think it should be more.
Well, you're always going to be
Oh, yeah.
more. I know that.
I need more.
Yeah, more is more.
The first quote I got on that loader is 196,000, and the road wideners are 88,000, I think. You know, so I need more. You know,
Yep, and all I'm saying is if we make strides each year,
okay.
that way, like going into next year. All right, this is the first big step that we're taking. We had to go over the tax cap this year to do what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
But next year, now your budget's going to be based on this, right? So it's gonna be hard to go over a 2% tax cap after having this budget. But that's not necessarily means that we have to spend this amount every year out of the unallocated
Right.
fund reserve.
Oh, yeah. No,
Like
everything's,
next year,
everything's a
if
good
you
move.
wanted to put a $88,000 road widener in, guess what? There's enough wiggle room now where you can do that. But this board will have to figure out how much of that they want to keep in the budget and how much they want to keep in unallocated fund reserve next year. And we don't have a crystal ball, so we don't only have the figures we have right here. I was pretty conservative on what I'm spending here at, $570,000. It still leaves quite a bit in each one of these accounts. But it is time to start, like I said, fixing what needs to be fixed in the town and taking care of some of the amenities or the venues that our community deserves.
One thing I'm hearing about, speaking of shoulders, we have what, 2 areas in town with no shoulders right now?
You got more than that.
More than that. Okay. I'm hearing that from people who are concerned with that. With no shoulders, it's been going on now for what, maybe over a year?
So, can I ask you to clarify no shoulders? Because shoulders usually mean a paved shoulder. These all
Right.
have gravel shoulders.
Well, they have signs that say no shoulders,
Right.
right, Mike?
Yeah, because they're not paved.
Well,
Well, we don't really.
But
do-
all
we don't
secondary
really
roads
pave
use.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
Yeah.
Ours
Paved shoulder.
ours are in
The
good
state
shape. Not that I'm bragging, but
yeah.
I mean, there are a lot worse around the area. But
But you're saying this machine maintains basically the gravel on the side of the road to make sure that it's not washing out the edges of the road. It's level with the top of the ditch line, so it's not running between the ditch and the road
Yep.
and undermining it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And that's a piece of equipment that
Yeah.
you generally have to borrow from Prue or somebody else, right?
Yeah, I did one time, and it'll never happen again.
So,
He blessed us real well the whole town that year.
because they need
Let
it
us use
themselves, just like you need one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not above if this board wants to take and add, that money in. He's got 600,000. Just remember
Well,
that.
it's a
These are rough
pair.
estimates.
Do we have any roads that are
It's a pair.
desperate need of repair?
Not desperately, no. I mean, it's all just maintenance, as we go along from year to year. Nothing's falling apart.
That's my pet peeve, my main concern is roads.
Yeah.
Infrastructure,
Yeah.
more so than anything else. If you say that we're okay there, we don't have anything in here for that, correct?
For pavement,
Yeah, well, we already have the pavement.
Yeah.
we had the CHIPS money. I know you had discussed taking some of the ARPA money and using it towards paving, which a few towns have did.
So,
But, I mean,
The L could use fresh pavement, 3 inches easy. But,
and some of them
Nothing
need
really
to be
falling
ground.
excuse me?
And some of them need to be ground. Half the drainage in the village here don't work because the road has been paved so many times. It's a,
True.
No, they've been.
it's,
yeah,
the drainage does not
We've paved
work.
this village 3 times since I've been here, and they've never been ground once.
No, and that's the first thing they did on Route 3.
Yeah.
And they ground it down and it looks like a good 2 to 3 inches around each manhole cover so that they could
Yeah.
repave it so that the drainage works with the road.
In one area, Kevin, in mind for grinding a road down would be Macy Lane. After that major water main goes in, with all the crisscrossing that's going to happen on that Macy Lane, that road is probably going to have to be repaved. But it's so high right now, based on the elevation of the homes. It's been paved so many times. That's another example where their drainage over there would really need correction. And that's something for 2023 that we should look at, maybe.
That would go in, they would have to fix whatever parts of the road. I'm not saying, I don't know, because they don't have the engineering on it yet.
Right, we don't even have an estimate yet on the water situation.
Exactly.
On that.
So until I get the engineering and see whether it's cheaper, I'm gonna guess it'd be cheaper to bore under the road than it would be to dig that whole road up every time they go one way or the other, but I'm not sure which way it
Yeah.
would be cheaper for them. It all depends on
Yeah.
how much the paving contracts
Sure,
would be
of
to,
course.
if they trench every one across. Because it's gonna go down one side or the other, and every other home on the other
Right.
side of the road is gonna be a hookup.
But there's no ditches there to jump into and push. It's concerning. It may be concerning. I mean,
No, it-
you understand
It always has been since they started developing that.
Right.
There's always been water there.
But if that's
That-
then the case, then ditching would be the answer.
You've only got so much elevation too, you know,
Yeah.
from way in out to, our settlement road, you know.
Yeah, as far as making sure the water flows to the end of where you're trying to get it.
We take care of it.
I'm just looking because, you look at the highway fund budget. Machinery equipment is still 80,000 in there, so that would give Mike 280,000 if we put the 200 in there, right? Is that correct?
You got,
But that's his other equipment too, whatever he needs for.
right, but
Yeah.
in his large equipment fund,
Yeah, and that has to be glad for the public.
right, but that's, like I said, that's where we
That's
put
not
so
really-
much into that
Yeah.
each year. It's not
Yeah,
quite a
yeah.
capital reserve
Putting
fund, but
another-
it's as close as you're gonna get down here.
Yeah, we're
And
putting-
basically, huh?
Putting another 45 in there.
If I remember right, last year when we were looking at it, and midway this year when he was looking at a new truck, he would have had enough for that truck he was gonna buy just out of that fund, if I remember right. Once we roll this year's money into it. I think it was gonna be around a little over $200,000 in his large equipment fund, just off memory,
I haven't transferred the. I haven't
which
done the
is not
45.
accounted for in the budget.
So he's got a pretty good sum of money there. So we don't need to raise this anymore then.
Well, that's why I stayed with 200,000. The other thing, and I'm not sure if you remember, but New York State Comptroller's office, if we can take money out of the general, which we don't. In this case, this is his anyways, rolled over, but it's in the general. But we can take money out of the general and put it in the highway. But we can't ever put it back. You can't ever go the other way with it. So, say you said, all right, let's, for the heck of it, put 300,000 in there. He doesn't use it all. It would stay in his highway. We can't ever roll that back to general. It can only go one direction. So I stayed kind of conservative with it, knowing that he had the extra monies available to him.
How much is this road widening
About
equipment?
88.
88,
$88,000.
if I
Mhm.
remember the last time, of course, I hope they didn't go up, but I mean,
No, and we're
Still-
not holding you to exact numbers anyway.
You talking 8,800 or 88,000?
88,000.
massive.
But being that he bought a used truck instead of a new truck,
Yeah.
he's not gonna be using that 200,000 on a new truck.
Can you rent one, Mike?
No, I haven't been able to find any
Anywhere?
in the area,
I was curious. So.
unless I go down Albany area and
Mhm.
I'll have to truck everything up here so we can use them.
And again, this is put into the large equipment fund. It's I put down here some of the stuff that he had wished for,
Sure.
but it's not locked into all of it or any of it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Beginning. I
Yeah,
understand.
I understand.
It's exactly that. It's a
Yeah.
beginning point, and then we
Mhm.
work with it from there, and it gives us a whole year to
Mm-hmm.
decide what we're going to do with it.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know if there's any other questions. You want to ask Mike any more questions before we move on to the next one? Are you good with that?
All right, because we got to vote on it before we implement it anyway. So it's just one vote until we use it.
Right, and if we don't use it, it goes right back in the, well, no, All the other ones will.
I mean, so, excuse me, Kevin, are we gonna be voting on each item?
You mean when they come up?
Yes.
Yeah. He's gonna have to get bids on this stuff. We're gonna have to okay the bids.
Yeah.
Like I say, if we take money, like Mary was actually saying, if we take money out of the large equipment fund, and that I think is subject to permissive referendum, correct? So we could pass a resolution, we put it in the paper, the constituents would have 10 days to get a petition to stop. Resolution or whatever.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yep. Yes.
All right. Did you want to put any more in there, or you think you're good with that? I think it's going to give them over 300,000 basically to work with. Actually, closer.
We're not gonna be able to get every piece of
No, not
equipment he
all at
wants,
once.
but he can get a good start on it.
Oh my God, just a good start would be priceless.
All right. So,
And that's where.
so the
that's
second
where we're
line
heading.
there was the restrooms at River Park and a water line. I do believe we need water down there. We're hauling water down to do the music in the park, just to wash our hands, and that's health standards, so I have to do that. It would be nice to have our own water line, so we're not using the hydrant when we do the ice skating rink down there also. And I believe that being that, again, that is a 4-season park, we use that all year long, that a more permanent bathroom situation and water, as well as a place for them to go in and warm up when it's cold in the winter months.
Is there gonna be any supervision there? Keeping,
That's gonna stop from vandalism.
yeah.
Well, we've been lucky so far. I can't tell you that it would never get vandalized. I can tell you that we've had a gazebo down there for over a year now. That was over a year this June, and everybody's been very respectful of it. And we have had no vandalism. I mean, I have had even the Christmas lights as well as the white decorative lights for the bands down there for months and months on end. Like, I think we lost one bulb that broke, which
Yeah.
could have been a stone from the lawnmower for all I know, because it was one bulb. But
It wasn't
I can't.
stolen,
I don't have a Ouija board or a crystal ball to say that it won't ever, but it's pretty close proximity to a ton of houses down there. It's not like Pocket Hill where it was down and away from everybody and nobody could see what was going
Same in
on.
River Park.
And people do let us know pretty much if somebody's down there and they're down there for any length of time and they can't find a reason for them being there. But it's widely used all 4 seasons, and I think it'd be a good investment for our residents of the town. That's why I put it on there.
And you figure it's gonna be over $100,000 for the restrooms and the water line?
I think we could do it for a lot less if we do it. If we do it, you know what I'm saying? I don't know when you start paying out prevailing wages. I have not contacted the town of Plattsburgh to see the connection fee and see if they would be willing to run a water line. But I kind of might have used up all my favors for the splash pad out here because they said they would take care of that whole water line. Maybe they'll go look for this one too. Maybe it's something that they wouldn't mind doing.
Hey,
At the
Kevin,
very least, I
just-
think that we could do a lot of it.
just an idea, Kevin, would be contacting BOCES and see if they could possibly consider constructing a small building where the children can access, like you had said, to stay warm in the winter and so forth. And along those same lines, continue on with the present septic system that we have. Porta potty situation.
Right.
I think that's more affordable and it would offer the same service. And to be very frank with you, Kevin, I've been down there a lot and I can't see where that facility is used all that much. From what I can see.
Okay.
I mean, music in the park, that's great. That's great. whatever.
Go down there during noon and watch how many people walk that park or
Right.
utilize it or walk their dogs down there. Or
But-
go down there in the winter when the ice skating rink is going
Yeah.
and see
This-
how many.
This
many
is just a
hockey-
polite statement I'm making, that's all, Kevin. I can't see
I
100
can't,
grand. I can't see it. That's me. One person, one vote. That's it.
But
That's all.
here's what we're doing right now, okay? You were taking and trying to fix, or I should say that, you're trying to make these projects tonight, okay? That's not what this is intended to do. This is intended to allow for that project to move forward and have enough funding for it to go forward. If it doesn't say we're going to spend $100,000 on restrooms at the River Street Park and Waterline.
Right.
It said that's what the appropriation
Right. But
would be utilized for if we move forward. Anything we don't use and there's money that we can save. And
I
I'm not
didn't see
above.
this document. I didn't see this document until the 4th day of October. I
Okay,
didn't see any of this. You're the one that drafted this up.
you're
This
right.
town board, I don't know, did you see it? This document?
No.
So, I mean, you're expecting within a very short time that we're gonna take a look at these things. It's an awful lot to digest, it really is. That's an awful expenditure of 100 grand. Then,
You've got.
that's all I have to really say.
You've got a whole year to digest it. You got a whole year to work through whatever
Right,
these
but this
projects are.
budget is gonna be coming in place real soon.
The budget will
Right.
allow you to do it or not.
Right.
It gives you the availability to do it. If you don't want to do it, then the money rolls right back into where it is right now.
Simply, okay, thank you.
It goes right back into the general fund. If you don't appropriate any money, then you're not going to do anything,
And you could
whether you
decide-
want to or not.
You could decide to do another project, and at least it's in the budget, then you can
This
transfer the
that's
money
under Parks and Recs.
to do it.
That's what I said. These are all suggestions.
If it's not in there, you can't.
It's whether you guys want to try to do some stuff for the town or you don't. If you don't, then take this and throw it right in the garbage. And we'll keep going with the budget as we have. And you can keep allocating the money and put it in the unallocated fund reserve. And eventually, you're going to end up giving it back or doing something with it. That's what happened 7, 8 years ago. More than that, 15 years ago. And you can go back to having what Reggie wants is a zero general fund and take everything that you get from the franchise fees and from the tipping and not put a dime back into the town, but offset the general fund. This gives the ability for the town to actually see projects, to fix the needs of the town that need to be fixed, and still gives them a good offset.
It's money that's already in place, right?
Absolutely.
And we could come back here in this time next year and have all this money still sitting here if we decide.
If you decide not to do anything with it.
Right.
But if you don't put some of it in the budget, you're never gonna be able to do anything with it. But eventually you'll be forced to do something with it.
By the comptroller. Let's move on.
And like I said, I would much rather see the public get something for the money than just a zero general fund balance. That's my opinion. I think they deserve it.
This is not gonna affect our tax rate, correct?
I'll
This
show
money's-
you, the tax rate is in the new, and it'll show you where it's less these coming out of the bank account. So we'll go over that. What the actual percentage increase is.
Well, that-
Look, I think it was around 2 cents to the general fund,
Yeah, but this,
and I think it was 10 cents
4.5
roughly to
cents.
the highway fund.
yeah, 4.5.
Because all the rest, and that's part of all the other budget that we did, not this, because these are funded. All this stuff, the money's there.
It's like taking it out of your savings account, putting it in your checking, and leaving it there and using it if you want to.
Yeah, or taking it from a CD where you're gonna get penalized, or you can't utilize it until the CD comes true, right, or due, and allowing you to spend. But why this board wouldn't wanna take care of the needs of the town and take care of some of the people in the town that have to, you know, put up with, like I say, a landfill and the trucks and everything else. Do something for them. Give them something back.
I think we got some pretty nice parks now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
not crazy about spending a ton more on parks, but we need to maintain what we have. And as I said, I'm in favor of road repairs, things of that nature. That's where I'd like to see them go.
If you want to put money in road repair,
We can discuss that later. We don't have to get into it now.
no,
Correct?
you can, if we were still talking about ARPA, and put money from ARPA into it. If you're going to put money in from the general, then it would have to be done this way, just like we just did. But once you transfer it from the general over to highway, it stays there. You can't put it back. So that's why I'd like to have what we're gonna utilize that money out of the general and transfer it to the highway departments to make sure that
But any other
we all got a
comment?
good.
Can you take out of the highway for anything like that? If they had left over for blacktop?
Everything that he has that he doesn't use at the end of the year rolls into that unallocated fund reserve, which we're gonna have monies left over again this year. So basically for a few years here, or every couple of years, you could do just what we're doing here
And build that back up.
and still build it. And still build it, yeah. Yeah, it's finally to that point. It's taken almost 3 years to get it, these accounts to there, but now it is time to start using it, or somebody will be asking why we're holding on to the money,
Including the taxpayers.
including the taxpayers. But like I say, each one of these projects is gonna be a lot of work moving forward through 23. 'Cause that's the budget year we have to use it, otherwise it goes back in. So, under the garage, you know, we wanna still keep that 230 for that. It's still under general, and that's still gonna go back to the general if we don't use it. Doesn't change to the highway, because fixing the garage comes out of the general.
What's the, under the highway budget, what's the capital improvement, DA 5112.2?
CHIPS money, if it's a 200,000.
That's the chip, sorry.
And that stays pretty consistent every year, huh? Has been. So that he usually uses for paving rather than equipment, but. I'm gonna assume as we go down through here, unless you tell me to change something or to delete them, that we're moving forward with them. Okay. Number 4, the publicity. That may even be a little light depending on what we do with the 175th year anniversary for the town. Also, I put in there the Winter Festival and the music in the park. I've got one donor already that has decided that they will sponsor another band next year. We can put in for, and we will put in for, I think it's up to, don't quote me, but it's quite a bit of money. I want to say it's a $5,000 grant. Don't quote me on that though. But there's grants also that we can apply for just that we can apply to. So.
In terms of that, Kevin, I was wondering, I had mentioned it before about the music in the park. If one of the events, or say you have 4 of them, 3 or 4, if some of them could be held on Salmon River Park to service the people who live in our section of the town. There's adequate room there. I see no reason why maybe one of them anyway for 23 could be held there. There's certainly plenty of parking there. And that's one thing I had mentioned it before, and I would like to see that possibly.
Do you remember why?
You had mentioned the power. You had mentioned the power issue.
We'd have to put
Right.
roughly 100 amp service in down there, so you had 3 20s, and then one circuit for lights. I'm not gonna go out on a limb and say every town uses the same spot each and every time, but I am gonna go out on a limb and say the majority of them do use the same spot each and every time. That way people know where they're located, they know where they're being done, and they're familiar with when they are.
Okay.
The only thing
thanks.
that I would change is, like I told you, I would go into September next year. I would make sure that
A little late, huh?
it was, and we just can't count on the weather. So I would make sure that they were done from the end of June through the end of August,
Sure.
and not go
That's a
on
good
past
idea.
that end of August. They were well received for the most part. I think everybody that went had a good time. We didn't make a ton of money on the food, but we did make money on the food. All of that was put back into the fund just so that could stay going. That was a lot of work also. Ton of work. But anyways,
Do we have restroom facilities at any of our parks?
but they're all the same. The only difference I was thinking with the River Street Park versus the other ones is that the other ones aren't utilized in the winter. This one's utilized all year long, all 4 seasons. They can do cross-country skiing there. They do hiking there. They do walking there. It's all year long. The ice skating rink is there. I'd like to do an ice skating rink at each park to make it more easier to access for each kid that's local, but feasibility wise, I had all I could do to keep up with the one rink I had down there, and you went down several times to help me with some.
Now, the South Plattsburgh Park, does that have regular restroom facilities and water, or no?
I believe that is all porta potty too.
That's what I was wondering, because I was saying if it did, Reggie's point would have been very good to move things down there. If it's already there, we don't have to build another one.
Right.
Thank you.
No, I wouldn't even consider doing the full bathrooms there if we weren't utilizing it all year long, including the winter festival, which I'm hoping will be 2 days this year.